Good day, good people. My name is Kabo Sekwele and I am an online math tutor here to help young children turn their struggles into their successes. I'm actually very excited for today's video because it's actually a question that one of you left in one of my videos. I recently asked you all what you would like to see from my channel, and someone named Teamlapse, I really wish I knew your name, asked this question. What is the right way to punish children without violence and that is effective? Thank you very much, Teamlapse, for suggesting this video. I'm not gonna lie, I was very skeptical about creating this video. I really had to sit back and think about how I was going to answer this question because I'm not a parent to anyone. So I can never fully understand the dynamics of being a parent and how difficult being a parent is, especially in matters regarding discipline. And all the information in this video will be based on my experiences with my parents, my mother's discipline, and anybody else that has taken care of me, what made their discipline effective. So please keep that in mind throughout this video. Now, before we start, we need to begin by understanding what general discipline is. Discipline is defined as the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior, using punishment to correct disobedience. Now, discipline is not the practice of inflicting pain, be it physical or emotional, onto someone because they did something that you did not like. That's not discipline. In fact, the definition that I mentioned gives us a sort of criteria for correct discipline. What do I mean by that? Firstly, the first part of that definition starts off by saying discipline is the practice of training people. So this, in a sense, outlines the purpose of discipline. It's to train. Secondly, the first part continues by saying training people to obey rules. In other words, there must be clear rules and principles that this person needs to abide by. And the third criteria, if this person does not obey the rules, then they will face consequences. So in summary, for discipline or punishment to have a positive impact on the person receiving the discipline, your reason for administering the discipline must be that you are training them to obey a set of rules and principles. And if they do not obey those rules and principles, then they face consequences. That is the type of discipline that results in a positive impact on the one receiving the discipline. So now let's bring this in context to your child. To do this, I'm going to expand on why these three criteria make up effective discipline. Now, I could sit here and give you different ways to discipline your child. I could say, take their money, give them more chores, take away their phone, and then explain to you why or why not that particular discipline is effective. But the truth is, regardless of the types of discipline you administer, if the basic criteria for effective discipline is not in place, that being the three criteria that I just shared with you that we're now going to expand on, if that criteria is not in place, your discipline may not be effective and can be viewed as you just using your power in a very abusive way. So you can use these guidelines to ensure that whatever form of discipline you use, it is effective and it has a positive impact on your child. So the first criteria, or the first principle that we discuss, is that discipline is the practice of training people. So in context to our discussion, your ultimate motive in disciplining your child should be to train them. This is a mindset that parents need to adopt in order for their discipline to be effective. And the reason is because children can actually sense your motive for disciplining them. And if they can sense that your motive is not one based on love, that can have very damaging effects on their view of you as a parent and their level of respect for you over time. And that's obviously not the desired effect. But if they can sense that you are disciplining them because you're trying to train them and because you want to protect them, then there are higher chances for a much more positive impact on them. There are tons of parents who punish their children for various reasons other than training. For example, they punish their kids because they made them angry and then they call it discipline. Now, they may believe that they're doing it to train their child, but it's less about training the child and more about the parent managing their emotions in an incorrect manner. Now, I say that knowing that we're all imperfect and mistakes do happen. Our emotions can get the better of us. But if you're a parent and you're constantly punishing your child without having the right motive, and doing it when anger is the main drive for your actions, it can be much more damaging than you realize. You need to remember that disciplining your child is not just about stopping the negative impact their disobedience has on you, because it's not about you. The purpose of discipline is training your child and helping them to be the best version of themselves that they can be, not just for the now, but more so for the future. If you do not have that motive fixed in mind, and if that motive is not the main drive for your actions, then your discipline will be questionable. So let's say you decide your form of discipline is spanking. If your motive is incorrect, it's no longer discipline. Then you're just engaged in a physical fight with your child. You're basically beating them up. But if your motive is one based on love, your discipline will also be loving, and it will be to the appropriate measure. And your child will sense that love and may be more willing to act in line with your training. So that is the first principle or criteria for effective discipline. Your goal for administering discipline must be to train your child so that they can become a competent person, for lack of a better word. But ultimately, it must be based on love for them and their well-being. So the second criteria or principle that is shared in our definition is that discipline is the practice of training people to obey rules. So in context to our discussion, for your discipline to be effective, there must be a clear set of rules and principles that your child is aware of before you administer discipline. This principle plays a very key role in effective discipline, because if you're punishing your child, they need to know what line they cross so that they never cross that line again. This is the training that they need for their future. If there aren't a set of rules and standards, or if the rules and standards aren't clear, then what are you punishing them for? Technically, they didn't do anything wrong because there's no standard. And even more so, having a clear set of rules and principles sets the standard for who they need to become in order to be productive adults for the future. So if rules and standards aren't clear, then what are you training them to become? What is the ultimate purpose of your discipline? Why are you actually punishing your child? So you see, having clear rules and standards brings purpose to your discipline. It highlights that the purpose of your punishment is training, because you want your child to evolve from where they are right now, which is someone who doesn't abide by rules and principles, to what they have to be in order to become productive people, namely someone who abides by rules and principles and standards and laws. So once this criteria of discipline is met, your discipline will become more effective. So the last principle stated in the final part of that definition is pretty clear. It states that punishment is used to correct disobedience. In other words, if your child did not obey one or more of the clearly stated rules, then you may punish them. Again, for the punishment to be effective and appropriate, the feeling that drives your actions must be love and not anger and not frustration. If your actions or your discipline is motivated by these negative emotions, your discipline may be too harsh. But you shouldn't also now go to the other extreme, which is fear of rejection from your child, because that may result in your punishment or your discipline being too lenient, which then makes it ineffective. The main emotion must be love. That's the balance. Love and concern for their future and the person that you are molding them to be. If that becomes the emotion that drives your actions, your punishment will not be too harsh and it won't be too lenient. It will be just right. So parents, in summary, the overall goal for disciplining your child is to help them to become a better person. That needs to be the mindset for your discipline to be effective. And lastly, the golden thread that runs throughout all this criteria is love. If love is there, your punishment will be balanced and your discipline overall will be effective. Parents, especially Team Laps, I hope this video helped. Please go down below and comment what else you think contributes to effective discipline. I would love to hear your thoughts. Going off on a different note, if you are in search of an online math tutor, please go ahead and go to my website. I will leave the link down in the description and you can schedule a free consultation with me there. Thanks once more. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.